All right, we're back once again for another spot on chat with Paul Berman of the Birthday Pack. Paul has been a mentor to me, and he's also someone that has a crazy affinity for the Appalachian Trail. So if you ever see him at a conference, ask him about that. But I wanted to talk to you about this sort of crazy time right now, Paul, where we really need an Eisenhower. We really need a Churchill to sort of step up and lead. And I think that's probably true in business and in the world today. But you and I were talking about this the other day. What do you mean when you say it's time for an Eisenhower? It's time for a Churchill.
So giving credit where credit is due, I was listening to an Audible book about Special Forces from a Navy SEAL, which I'll mention that in a moment. But he was going through different stories, and he said, where are the Eisenhowers and the Churchills when we need them? And whether it's in our family, our neighborhood, or business organizations in the franchising space, what I'm observing, it's April of 2020, people's true colors are coming out right now.
Mm-hmm.
And we're seeing a lot of leadership in the country, in communities, in the medical community, and people giving back, and others that aren't. And again, referencing the special forces, these are leaders. And a lot of this has become public. Obviously, it's a big topic in TV shows and stuff, but these people and the people in the CIA and the NSA and the special forces and that whole community, keep us safe in our homes. And I'm sure there's been a lot of things that have happened that we never will hear about and probably shouldn't hear about.
Mm-hmm.
These people showed leadership. In Philadelphia, there's a Revolutionary War Museum. It's fantastic. I've been there twice recently with our sons and my wife and I. It was actually my day of birth back in March, and we went again. And it's a wonderful museum, beautifully done right there near Independence Hall. Obviously, a historic part of our country. Philadelphia used to be the capital. And there's an auditorium, and it talks about George Washington's tent. And there's a long movie, and what you don't realize is it's shown on a screen that's thick glass. And at the end, the lights slowly come on behind the glass. And George Washington's original tent is there, pitched. It's the real tent. And what they talk about is George Washington only spent a few days at his home in Mount Vernon. He lived with his troops in the weather, the same food, in that tent. He obviously had security as he should. And it's really something, the lights come on, there's not a peep in the room. And the leaders in my life, in our lives, I've had certain mentors, a couple in particular that have really had a major impact on my life. And certainly my father, who passed away in 2002, I think about and talk about him often. I'm speaking about him now. And I think he'd be pleased that the leadership and the lessons he taught me continue to shine through. And I try to keep them top of mind. So I think today we're all being challenged to be leaders. And one of probably the most difficult periods of time we've ever been through. My wife and I were together 30 years. We just celebrated our 30th anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
We were actually going to be going to Washington, D.C. this weekend to see the cherry blossoms, but certainly that trip has been canceled.
Mm-hmm.
The Marriott Hotel is closed. And the other morning we woke up in bed and it was dark out, usually up early, laying there. And she said, I had the strangest dream last night. It was really weird. I said, what was it, honey? And she said, I dreamed that there was a global pandemic and it had hit over 1 million people, and people were dying all over the world, and we couldn't even leave our homes. And we both started chuckling that, she was joking with me, but it's serious that we woke up into this reality of what we're all dealing with right now. Certainly hope it's over soon. But, the leaders of yesterday, the leaders of today and tomorrow and next year and 2021, et cetera, I think this has certainly tested all of us, and doing a lot of soul searching and thinking during this forced vacation or forced retreat. And I would just
Yeah.
say, what level of leadership are we each providing, and how can we step up even more, because the world certainly needs as many leaders as possible. And right now it's gut check time, and it's not good.
Yeah. With Zorakle profiles, we assess leadership skills, and there's several markers within the Eclipse report where we measure those things. But I like your point that there are leaders in various areas, whether that's medicine or the military or dealing with this pandemic. They're stepping up, and there are various attributes that each of them possess, and they've stepped up during this time of the pandemic. But it's also having us ponder within ourselves: do we have similar leadership skills as franchisors, right? Or franchise brokers that are helping folks find a business? How can we tap into our skills and our talents, and address these times? Some of us have a tendency to stick our head in the sand, right? And kind of wait for the dust to settle, and then, and then we come out. And others come out fighting and doing whatever is necessary. And then others are, how can I help? How can I help? And they're more of in a support role. But I think each of us possesses, and to various degrees, different types of leadership skills. And it sounds like in your life, you've had some good mentors, or those that inspired you to step up and be a leader, your dad being one. So tell me more about, what was it within your father or others that you were able to emulate as a leader of BirthdayPak, as an example?
So, stepping away from my father, what I think, I have a mentor. His name is John.
Mm-hmm.
We've been together since the fall of '04. It's a bit more peer-to-peer these days. It's not formal mentoring as it was. And we would have breakfast 8, 10 times a year. It would last about 2 hours and sometimes longer. And I'd always try to get as much as I could. And when we got into topics, he had an incredible knack of getting down to the core issue. In the Entrepreneurs Organization, we should talk about experience sharing. So instead of telling somebody what to do, you share experience and stories.
Mm-hmm.
And through some really, really difficult times of debt, our son Sam's stage 4 cancer, business opportunities, one of which was BirthdayPak, he was able to coach me through and share experiences that he rarely would ever give me the answers. And there's times I would just have to press him and say, just tell me what to do, and he would smirk, and occasionally, but I can tell you, I don't think it was that many times. And just really putting me in the position where he gave me the information, the knowledge, and the stories to then make a decision. And what I'd always do is, the next time, whether it was a month or 2 months later or whatever, we'd get together. I always took copious notes, and I always felt a responsibility to give him feedback of what he shared, what I did with it, and the impact it had. And today we are very, very close friends. And I can tell you, he reaches out to me at times, but it's more often me reaching out to John. And, when I am stuck, I will tell you 100% of the time, 100%, he helps me get unstuck. And, as often I have to go back to my Word document and the notes and what he shared before I call him and dust that off, and make sure that I'm certainly not wasting his time, and pay attention. And I would say on my father, the big thing in leadership is trying to, lead my own life. And my dad always used to tell me, don't be your own worst enemy. It's really easy for many of us to beat ourselves up or look at the past or decisions we could have or should have made, and there's nothing we can do about it. I've got a saying that has really helped me recently, and it's a little personal, but it says, standing at the meeting of two eternities, the past and the future, it's precisely that moment right now, the present. I will not miss anything by living in the present. I will miss a lot by not. I know that the future is all a maybe. So today I will work hard at being the very best version of me. That has helped me a lot, especially in these times, because many of us don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. This morning in our daily huddle, we open up with what we're grateful for, and then we just give some news. And unfortunately, one of our key members of our team lost his grandmother last night, quite old, from the coronavirus.
Ouch.
So that was tough. And yesterday we had an update. Today it was bad news, and there's no telling what it's going to be tomorrow. So, but right now it's the present, and these are really unusual times. We really have no idea what the future is going to be, whether we're dealing with the coronavirus or the Eisenhowers and the Churchills. When you look at Churchill and his leadership in that country, when the Nazis were getting ready to invade Britain, and they had air raids for months and 14 years of food rationing and starvation, they came through it. And that leadership is probably some of the more noteworthy leadership in the last 100 years, I would suppose.
I love it. And I like how you pose the question, where are our Churchills and where are our Eisenhowers? Because I do think there are Eisenhowers and Churchills in various areas of our lives, right? That we need to be turning to or listening to or learning from or being inspired from. If we're working on building a business, our Churchills and our Eisenhowers are leaders in business. If we're working on our health, if we're working on our relationships, if we're working on our finances, there are Churchills and Eisenhowers in each of those areas. And most are willing to step up and lead and advise and provide some kind of, guidepost or direction of where we need to go. None of us have all the answers, and we certainly don't all have all the answers during this pandemic. So once again, Paul, I love our conversations. You always make me think. I so appreciate it. So I hope I can, tap into you again and continue to ask you questions that maybe I can share with others. So thanks for being with me. All right. Depending